Liverpool board warns Arne Slot as pressure builds. Jurgen Klopp's return being discussed behind the scenes. Liverpool Football Club finds itself at a major crossroads once again, as tensions rise around the future of current head coach Arne Slot. Following a series of poor performances and disappointing results, serious questions have emerged inside the club regarding his ability to restore Liverpool's former glory. While the Dutch manager has not been officially sacked, reliable sources around Anfield suggest that he is on thin ice, and the next few games could be decisive for his future. At the same time, a stunning development has sent shockwaves through the football world. Rumors that Jurgen Klopp, the legendary manager who built Liverpool into a global powerhouse, could be preparing for a return to Anfield. However, these reports indicate that Klopp would not come back as a full-time manager, but rather in a special advisory or coaching staff role to help stabilize the team and guide the club through its current crisis. The pressure on Arne Slot. Arne Slot arrived at Liverpool with high expectations, replacing a man whose legacy was nearly impossible to match. Klopp's era was one of triumph, passion, and deep emotional connection between the club and its fans. Slot, known for his tactical intelligence and success at Feyenoord, was brought in to continue that legacy. But so far, his journey at Anfield has been rough. Liverpool's performances have been inconsistent, their pressing game weakened, and their defensive structure unreliable. The team that once terrified opponents with its intensity now seems uncertain and unbalanced. Supporters who were once full of belief are growing restless, and some have begun to question Slot's methods and his connection with the players. Despite these challenges, Liverpool's board has not yet lost all confidence in Slot. A senior source close to the club has stated that while the results have been poor, the management still believes that he deserves more time to prove himself. However, there is also growing internal concern that if the team's form does not improve quickly, the club might be forced to make tough decisions before the season slips away completely. The phrase being whispered around Melwood and Anfield is clear. Not sacked yet, but under serious observation. Klopp's shadow still looms large. Jurgen Klopp's presence continues to hang over Liverpool like a giant shadow. Since stepping down earlier this year, the German coach has remained a beloved figure in the city. His energy, charisma, and the emotional bond he built with the fans were unique, something few managers in world football could ever replicate. Klopp had promised to take a long break from football to recharge, but sources now claim that he has stayed closely connected with some members of Liverpool's staff. According to insiders, informal talks have taken place about a possible return to the club in a non-managerial role, potentially as part of a restructuring of the coaching department or as an advisor to the board. These discussions are said to be in early stages, but the very idea of Klopp returning to Anfield has sparked huge excitement among fans. The thought of him being back in any capacity, guiding the new generation, mentoring coaches, and restoring the club's emotional spark, feels like the start of a new chapter built on the soul of the old one. Still, it is important to clarify that Klopp has no intention, at least for now, of replacing Slot directly. He is said to respect the current manager's position and understands how difficult the transition after his own departure has been. Any involvement from Klopp, therefore, would likely be advisory, but his presence alone could have a massive impact on morale. The board's delicate balance, the leadership at Liverpool, led by Fenway Sports Group, FSG, faces a very delicate situation. They do not want to make rash decisions that could destabilize the club further, but they also recognize the growing dissatisfaction among supporters. Internally, discussions have reportedly focused on how to support Arne Slot without creating a sense of panic, while also exploring backup options in case results do not improve. One idea being considered is bringing Klopp back in a consulting or oversight capacity, which would allow the club to benefit from his experience while still maintaining Slot's authority as head coach. This hybrid structure would be unprecedented in modern football, but Liverpool is a club that has never followed the ordinary path. If successful, it could give Slot a chance to rebuild confidence while giving Klopp the opportunity to help shape the next era from behind the scenes. However, This approach also comes with risks. If Klopp's influence becomes too strong, it could undermine Slot's leadership. The club must therefore manage the situation with great sensitivity and respect to both men. The fans' voices grow louder for Liverpool's loyal supporters. Patience is running thin. The passion that once filled Anfield now carries frustration and uncertainty. Fans have been vocal on social media, calling for answers and questioning the direction of the club. Many have begun chanting Klopp's name again during home matches, a clear message to the board that they still see him as the heart and soul of Liverpool. A recent fan survey conducted online showed that a majority of Liverpool supporters would welcome Klopp back in any role, even as a consultant or technical advisor. Others, however, argue that the club must allow Slot to develop his own legacy without constant comparisons to his predecessor. Regardless of where fans stand, one truth remains. The emotional connection between Klopp and the Liverpool faithful is something that time cannot erase. The German's fingerprints are still everywhere, in the team's philosophy, in the atmosphere at Anfield, and in the belief system of the supporters. Player reactions and locker room mood. Inside the dressing room, morale has been described as fragile. Several senior players, including Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk, and are believed to be concerned about the team's recent form. These are players who reached their peak under Klopp, and some have struggled to adapt to Slot's different tactical approach. However, reports also indicate that many players continue to respect Slot's professionalism and his calm, methodical style. They understand that change takes time, but the competitive nature of Liverpool means patience is always limited. Interestingly, some players have reportedly expressed excitement about the idea of Klopp returning in a mentorship capacity. Having him around the training ground, even as an observer or advisor, could bring back motivation and confidence, particularly for younger players who idolized him. What the future could hold. As of now, Arne Slot remains Liverpool's head coach. The board has not made any formal decision regarding his dismissal, and official statements continue to emphasize full support for the manager. Yet behind the diplomatic language, there is a clear sense of urgency. Liverpool's next fixtures are being described internally as critical evaluation matches. If the team shows progress, Slot's position could stabilize, and Klopp's advisory involvement could become a long-term strategic move rather than a reaction to crisis. But if the poor results continue, the pressure will reach breaking point, and even FSG's patience may run out. What happens next will depend heavily on how Slot responds. His ability to win back the players' confidence, improve the team's tactical balance, and restore energy in the locker room will determine whether he can survive this period of doubt. Klopp's potential role. A new chapter? If Jurgen Klopp does return, sources suggest his new role might resemble that of a football advisor or club consultant. He would oversee long-term planning, player development, and the cultural identity of the club, areas where his influence is already legendary. This structure would allow Klopp to help Liverpool maintain its values while Slot continues as coach. It could also be part of a broader plan to build continuity between the past and the future, preserving Klopp's legacy while evolving tactically under a new manager. For Klopp, this might also be the perfect way to return to football without the full stress of daily management. He could mentor not just Slot, but also the next generation of Liverpool coaches and players, ensuring that his philosophy, heavy metal football built on passion, pressing, and unity, remains alive for years to come. A club at a crossroads. Liverpool's story has always been one of emotion, resilience, and rebirth. From the Shankly era to the Klopp era, this is a club that thrives on belief and identity. Now, as uncertainty grows, the challenge is to rediscover that same energy without losing stability. Arne Slot is not sacked. Not yet. But he stands at a crucial moment in his Liverpool journey. His next moves could determine not only his future, but also the direction of the entire club. Meanwhile, the quiet whispers about Klopp's involvement continue to grow louder. For fans, it feels like destiny calling again. Could Klopp's return, even in a smaller role, be the spark that reignites Liverpool's fire? Or will Arne Slot find the strength to overcome the pressure and lead the team back to glory on his own terms? One thing is certain: the coming weeks at Anfield will define an era. Whether it ends with Slot's redemption or Klopp's emotional return, the world will be watching closely as Liverpool once again fights to protect its soul and its pride. Because at Liverpool, no matter how dark the storm becomes, one message always remains true: you'll never walk alone.